Okay, so this is where you explain coaching or your consulting or your healing or whatever it is that you're going to do to help them. And you want to explain it in a way that makes sense, that's clear, that's logical, that relates back to all the challenges that they're having or all the goals that they set, and is very methodical. Now, I'm going to be explaining it the way that I shared earlier. It's the 5-step client breakthrough system. We're going to do this, 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 and that. So we're going to go run through those again real quick here. So there's 5 categories of ways that we can support people. We can help people do any of these 5 things or all of these 5 things. And these are the ways that I explain coaching, but again, you're going to want to modify this to whatever your system is. You're welcome to rename these too. I've had people take the same 5-step client breakthrough system, but they wanted to, instead of saying clarify your vision and direction, they would say, and it's a good idea to do also. If you're a dating coach, you might say, instead of clarify your vision and direction, you might say, well, clarify the kind of man you'd like to attract and the kind of relationship you'd like to have together. A lot of which we already did in this session, but I think I've got actually a 100-point checklist of types of men that you could check off that you'd like to have in a man, and 200-point checklist of the kind of relationship that you'd like to have together. This way you can have an even clearer map. So you could do something like that. The second thing that we help clients do is we help clients to strategize their actions. Now, I say strategize your actions. You could call it something else, totally fine. But that's the gist of the second one, was we help them to strategize their actions, which basically is a fancy way of saying we create an action plan. So 12-month plan, 6-month plan, 90-day plan, monthly plan, and a daily plan, so that every day you know what you need to be doing to get the results that you're looking for. And the coaching part of how to do these 5 things, these are all things that I teach people inside Rapid Coaching Academy. So if you want to learn how to coach people, then I would recommend studying that program. The third thing that we help clients do is upgrade their skills. Sometimes there'll be a skill that they've already talked about in the earlier part of the session, so I'll bring that up. If they hadn't brought that up, then I'll ask them, what skills do you think you might need to upgrade in order to get the results that you're looking for? And now they hadn't even been thinking about skills, but this is now another piece of the gap. That without these skills, they're less likely to get where they want to go, or it's going to take longer or slower or whatever. So this is another piece of again, more reason they need help. You could even come up with a list of the types of skills that people who want to get the results that you're looking for would need. For example, coaches, they need sales skills, which is what Free Sessions That Sell is. And I don't like to call it sales, but it is. We're signing up clients. That's where it's influence skills. And in my opinion, coaching and selling are actually very similar. Some people would say there's consultative selling, and I would say that this is coaching. We have a coaching approach to sales. So as a coach, you might need sales skills. You might need marketing skills. You could need leadership skills. If you're a weight loss coach, then what skills does somebody need who needs to lose weight? Well, they might need the skills of discerning what are healthy foods and not healthy foods. They might need the skills, I don't know. Honestly, there's not a lot of skills when it comes to losing weight. There's definitely having a vision. There's definitely having a plan. And then there's the other, the final 2 that we haven't gotten to yet, which are optimizing your environment and mastering your psychology. 4 of those 5 are really powerful in terms of, if you're a weight loss coach, you might not use skills very much, but it might be eating out skills. How to go out to eat and still be able to discern what's healthy and what's not. The 4th one is optimize your environment, and again, that's really all about removing friction so that success is easier, and adding in friction to make failure harder. I talked about cleaning up the kitchen so that you not have to use discipline to keep yourself from having the foods that you want. You just naturally, the healthy foods are here, right? You don't have to, don't eat that chocolate. Just one. Okay, one more. All right, I'm just going to stop at 3. And then before you know it, the whole bag's gone, right? So we want to eliminate that. Now, that's very powerful when you talk about weight loss coaching. Some other kinds of coaching, it may not seem as relevant. And honestly, you're welcome to leave that one out completely. It's definitely a lot more esoteric. It's also extremely important. So it's something that you would want to, at least that I would recommend that you address at some point with your clients, just to make sure they clean up that environment, or at least have some awareness of it. And I also shared that example of getting rid of television because of it being a distraction, and that was slowing me down from having the success I want, creating friction, because I just had a quick, sit down and watch TV, and before I know it, sucked up a bunch of my time. The fifth one that we help clients do is to master their psychology. Now again, if you're a consultant, you might not do any of this stuff, and that's okay. On the other hand, if you're a healer, you might do all this stuff, and you're like, I don't do any of this stuff. Well, you know what? I think we need to do all 5 things. Focus on and explain the ones that are the ones that you are definitely doing, but I would consider adding all of it, because I'll tell you, if people are struggling, it's one of those 5 things or multiples of these 5 things, and if you can cover all of them, then your clients are much more likely to get the results that they want. Now, this is really important. What you want to do is you want to ask people, after you explain each part, you want to ask people, does that make sense? Do you have any questions about that? Does that sound like that would be helpful for you? Or does that sound like that would be valuable to you? We want to make sure that we're on the same page and that they're following along with us. And that's why we just keep asking, does this make sense? Do you have any questions? Does this sound like this would be helpful to you? Or does this sound like this would be valuable to you? The other critical piece is that as you're explaining these 5 steps, that you, where applicable, you relate these back to the challenges that they mentioned. They mentioned that they didn't have a plan. And when you talk about, strategizing your actions, you talk about, how you mentioned that you don't have a plan and that's holding you back. One of the things we're going to do is we're going to create an action plan for da-da-da-da-da, and here's how we're going to do that. One of the things that you mentioned was holding you back was this fear of talking to prospects, or fear of going to networking events, or fear of public speaking. Well, we're going to work through that. I've got this XYZ tool, and it helps you resolve those things, and we'll do that together. In fact, it shouldn't take too long. Another thing that you can do as you're explaining this, or after you're done explaining that, is you can kind of create what I call a customized coaching plan. This is sort of an advanced move. You don't need to do this, but as you get comfortable and you start working with people a lot, you can kind of know how things are going to go, and based on what they've shared and what they need to work through, you can kind of lay out what you think, sort of how you think the coaching is going to go. So you could even say, over the first few weeks, I think what we're going to do is we're going to really focus on that action plan, and then what we want to do is we want to get right to the helping you overcome your fear of blah blah blah. And then you might have things that don't even fit into those 5 categories per se, or they do, but so for example, with my clients, I'll say, other things that we're going to do is, make sure that I'm going to look at your marketing materials, give you a marketing materials review. I might actually dictate some marketing copy to you, so you can just record that, or take it and use it. I'm available via email. You can email me in between sessions, and we can, I can take a look at this. I can take a look at that. We want to really talk about whatever is going to get the results. Now, for coaching, 5-step client breakthrough system is great, but you can pepper in some other things to that, or you can customize it. But bottom line, you need to explain how your coaching is going to get them the results. That's all that needs to happen here, and it's the most important thing that needs to happen. In fact, most people struggle to explain coaching. They try to explain it like, coaching is like having, Tiger Woods has a coach, and Michael Jordan has a coach, and everybody needs a coach. Or, coaching helps you get from where you are to where you want to be. But those general explanations really don't cut it. This is the best way to explain coaching. Explain it by what it's going to do for them and how it's going to help them get the results they want. This is really the only time I explain what coaching is, or how it works, or what I do, or any of that stuff. All right, so now you've gone through all 5 of these things, and does that make sense? Does that sound like that would be valuable to you? Great. Well, then the next thing people usually want to know is kind of the structure of how coaching works over the course of the year, and how often we meet and things like that, the logistics side of things. Is that something you'd like to hear about? And again, we're checking in to see if they want to keep hearing. Now, of course, they're going to want to, and even if they wanted to, even if you knew they would want to, it's still powerful to keep checking in and keep getting more permission that they want to hear more. Because the worst thing we want to do is just being like giving some really long presentation. This is all about me. This is where I went to school. This is where I grew up. This is all the training I've had. This is blah, 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 blah. All the stuff that prospects don't care about, and that many of us coaches do think is important. Like, I wrote this book and I did da, 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 and I'm so important. And this is why I'm so good. they care about themselves and getting the results that they're looking for. They're not really caring about you, and they don't need some big long-winded explanation of anything. And so what we want to do is just want to keep checking in. There's a way we make this a dialogue, not a monologue. So would you like to hear about the logistics of how often we would meet and stuff like that if we do end up working together? And then they usually say yes. 99% of the time they're going to say yes. Every once in a gazillion sessions that you do, you might get somebody who's just like, no, that's okay. And honestly, you probably would have realized that way earlier, because people like that are usually pretty closed and not very open when it comes to answering a lot of these questions. And honestly, if you get that and you notice it earlier, just end the session sooner. You can use the 5-step client breakthrough system. You can use that as an assessment earlier in the challenges. If they're not giving you a lot of challenges, you can say, well, how are you doing on this? Rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10. Where are you on having a very crystal clear vision for your business? And where are you on having a plan? Scale of 0 to 10. Where are you on your skills? Any skills that you think you might need to upgrade? Where are you in terms of environment? How about mastering your psychology? Are there any areas where you have some doubts or fears or any of that stuff? If people aren't willing to go there with you on those questions earlier, then you might not, by the time you get to the point where you could ask them what was most valuable, instead of doing that, because who knows, they probably might not even find anything valuable, you might just wrap it up right there. Or you might just say, what did you find most valuable? And then just say, okay, hey, thanks for this, great getting to know you, and just cut the thing short, But most of the time, you're going to get people who want to hear more. Now, if they want to hear the logistics, then you explain your logistics. Now, for me, my logistics are that I meet with clients on average about 3 times a month for 45 minutes at a time. And I say on average because sometimes I travel or, something happens, something comes up where we don't end up meeting 3 times, maybe we end up meeting 2 times. But sometimes if I'm around and I'm not traveling and I'm more available, then we'll meet 4 times. So on average, it's going to be about 3 times a month. I explain that up front because I want them to know, that it's not a finite thing. But, if they wanted to say, okay, well, it's 3 sessions times, that's 36 sessions, for a year, whatever. If they want to do the math on that, that's fine. But I want there to be flexibility for me because I need it. So I say 3 sessions a month, but my intention is that pretty much every week we're going to meet, except for if I'm traveling or on vacation or whatever, then it's going to be, it might be 3 or it might be 2. And during those sessions, we're going to work on those 5 things. Now, not all 5 in every session. My feeling is, and this is where you might explain that customized coaching plan, my feeling is probably in the first couple sessions, we're going to get really clear on that, whatever it is that you do. So for me, it might be like if I was working with a client, well, one of the things first things we're going to do is we're going to get you really clear on that niche market. So we'll get that figured out, hopefully in the very first session, but if not, in the first couple of sessions. Then we'll create a business plan or an action plan or a marketing plan for your business. And we're going to break that down so that over the course of the year, this is where we're headed. Over the next 90 days, this is what we're going to be focusing on. Over the next 30 days, this is what we're going to be doing. And day in, day out, exactly what you need to do every day. And then we're going to start working on that inner game stuff. You had mentioned blah, 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 blah. This is where we're going to do that. Probably going to get to that, maybe in the 3rd or 4th week, or in the 2nd or 3rd month, we'll get to that and make sure that all gets cleaned up so you can feel on fire and really, really take charge. Does that make sense? Does this sound like this is what you would need? Or does this sound like this would be helpful for you? Great. Do you have any other questions about how the coaching would work or anything like that? Now, when you say that, sometimes people say, well, what's the investment? Great. This is exactly when we want to have them ask that, and I prefer to have them ask that. On the other hand, if they don't ask that, then I usually then bring up, and I say, well, at this point, a lot of people are wondering, well, what's the investment? And so the investment is, and you tell them what the investment is. And I usually tell them the year fee and the monthly fee, or I'll do the monthly or full pay. And I also have special pricing for people who go for it right now during this call. Would you like to hear that too? Now you can do special pricing and special bonuses. Now I also have special pricing and special bonuses for people who decide to go for it right now during this call. Would you like to hear about that? And then if they'd like to hear about that, then you can tell them, okay, well, and I would start with the bonuses and then the special pricing. Say, well, bonus number 1 is that you get blah, blah, blah. You get access to this XYZ program that I created. Normally, clients pay $5,000 for that, or $2,000, or $200, and you're going to get that for free. Now, I'd be careful, though, because if you tell them about these programs as bonuses, they might think, well, you know what, let me just get that program. So you want to be careful with this and test this out and see how it works. But bonus number one, it could be more time with you. Bonus number one is we're going to get together for a half day, either in person or over the phone, and we're going to spend a half day together just getting a quick start. So during that first half day, we'll probably rock out your niche, create the plan, and start working on some of those biggest inner game things so you can just burst out of the gates. And that could be a huge bonus. And you can make that only a full pay bonus. And there's a lot of different things that you can do here. For simplicity's sake, let's just forget the bonuses right now and just focus on that special pricing. What should that special pricing be compared to your regular pricing? Well, the real question is, what should that regular pricing be compared to your special pricing? You want your special pricing to be the amount that you actually want to get paid, and the regular pricing, a bigger number, so that there's an incentive for people to go for it right on the spot. Now, you don't want to have your regular pricing and your special pricing be like worlds apart, Well, the regular pricing is $1,000 a month, but if you decide to go for it right now, it's only $200 a month. That is going to seem really weird and is not going to jive with people. On the other hand, you want it to be big enough that it's enticing. So if your regular pricing is $1,000 a month and the special pricing for people who go for it right now is $975 a month, that's like so insignificant that people probably will just want to take their time to think about it, right? There's going to be no urgency here. If your coaching fees were $2,500 a month as the regular and $1,997 a month for people who go for it now, that's a pretty big discount, pretty big savings, but it's believable, like it feels authentic, but very enticing. Let me give you some other examples. Let's say you charge regular price is $1,000 a month. Maybe your sign up now price is $750 a month, right? So I don't know if it's 25%. Maybe in both cases it's about 25%. I would say if you went somewhere between 20 and 30%, you're probably in a good safe zone. And I like to keep the numbers pretty round so that they don't end up being like, $3,000 a month or $2,657 a month. That just gets crazy, right? Now, what I haven't mentioned is the special savings for people to full pay. And if you're coaching people for 6 months at a time, or if you're coaching people for a year at a time, then let's say if it's 6 months, if you're charging $1,000 a month for 6 months of coaching, and this is your sign up now pricing, then your sign up now full pay might be $4,997, right? So it saves them about $1,000. That feels pretty good. Some people are going to go for full pay. Some people, probably most people will go for pay plan. Maybe 30% will do full pay in that scenario. Here's something else to keep in mind. Would you rather get all the money up front, or would you rather get paid over time? If you really want to get all the money up front, then you can actually make the discount really enticing for people, or the savings really enticing for people who decide to full pay. Now, it still isn't going to ensure everybody does, but you'll end up with more people doing it. So you just want to decide what's right for you. Now, the benefit of getting people to full pay is then they've paid the whole amount. If people are paying monthly, there could be some challenges that come up down the road, and they think, maybe I need to save some money here or something. Maybe I'll just stop the coaching, or I'll see if we could take a break for a month, or forever. So we want to be careful with that too. I have gone back and forth on this one between for a while I was like, I make more money in full payment plan. I'm totally cool with that. Plus, I like the steady, even cash flow. Then I went to where I was like, let me get all the full pays as much as I can, and I tried skewing things that way. And then I've kind of gone back and forth. You need to decide what's right for you. Same as with everything here, but definitely in picking out what the package looks like, you're going to want to make that decision for yourself. Here's what it would look like. The investment in coaching is just $24.97 a month for 12 months, which you can just pay monthly, or you can do full pay for the year. And if you full pay, then instead of $2,500 a month for 12 months, or you can full pay and the investment is just $19,997 for the year, saving you $10,000. that could be really compelling. Now that's a pretty extreme price discount. You could just go with a straight round numbers for the regular pricing, and then for the special pricing, you can go with those like $997. So for the regular pricing, you might go round numbers, $2,500 a month, or $25,000 for the year. And I also have special pricing for people who decide to go for it right during this call. Would you like to hear about that? And then if they say yes, then you say, great. Well, instead of $2,500 a month, it's just $1,997 a month. And the full pay, instead of being $25,000 for the year, is just $17,500. Which of these feels like the better fit for you? Full pay or pay plan? And then you wait. You don't say anything. You just let them think. Give them all the time in the world. Now, here's where they might come up with some objections. Now, if they don't have any objections, they'll just say, "Oh, I'll do pay plan. Great. Let me get you entered in the system." And then you take their information, take their payment. What card would you like to use? Great. Let's schedule our first official session. Get that scheduled. Tell them about any prep materials that you need them to do, an intake form, or your prep email, and then say, "Congratulations, I can't wait to get started working with you," and bam. All right, but if there's objections, then you're going to want to know how to handle those, and we're going to get to those in our next segment.